Yes, guys. Peace, peace, peace. Thanks. I called the radio owner, and he was able to help me fix this. Thanks. Sorry for the delay. I apologize. Thank you. Yeah. So let me check. Yeah, when I came, I think the settings was a bit messed up, right? It wasn't my doing. It's already somebody touched something which wasn't supposed to be that way. So unfortunately, there was a mess up here, right? But thanks to God, because unfortunately I have to disturb Mr. Joe, but God willing, he was able to answer. So I appreciate that. Aha. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, thank you all for coming. This is the correctional officer, and I'm streaming live via Facebook, YouTube, and then JC Radio TV, both Facebook and YouTube at the same time, and then on their online web page, right? So thank you for coming. And one more thing, I just need to open here, then we are good to go. Let's see. I just need to open up the PDF file, and then we go. Yes. Okay. Yeah, for those who have watched me on TikTok, I was on TikTok 2 days ago, and now I'm here streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and JC Radio, right? Okay, so let's try to open the PDF I have here. If it opens as I want it, then it will be, we are good to go. Let me see. Yeah. So kindly bear with me because this is my first time of, hosting this kind of platform. So in case you think something is going wayward, but it's not my doing. So it's my first time. So kindly bear with me. Thank you all for coming, and kindly share so other people can join. We are going to talk about Islam and what the Quran says, right? Okay. So for those who have been watching me via my page, you know what the correctional officer is about, right? Uh, Usually what I represent is to give you the simplest form of what Quran present as Islam for you. And when we say Islam, many a times people think we are talking about what do I say? The mainstream Muslims they see out there, like they see the Sunni, the Shia, the Tijaniya, Ahmadiyya, and so on. And then they think Islam has to do with the Arabic culture. Like when we say the traditions of the Arabs, this is what people portray or think Islam is about, right? So people say I should raise my voice. Kindly give me the thumbs up if the voice is sounding clear, because I think some people are having. No, I think the voice is okay. The sound is okay. So this is my way I invite to Allah by perception. I and whoever follows me, and glory be to Allah, for I am not among the idolaters. So this is babashuaib, the correctional officer. We are talking about Islam and what the Quran says. So during the program, I'll be quoting some Quranic verses. If God permits, I will share the screen so people can get to see the verses by themselves. But first of all, when we say Islam, Islam is an Arabic word. It's not an English word, right? But however, it has been Romanized into English. So people will keep saying Islam, Islam, and just like they say the word Muslim. Muslim is not an English word. However, it has been Romanized into English to sound like saying a Muslim is an English word. It is not an English word. So this Muslim is somebody who practices Islam, right? So Muslim, which is an Arabic word, signifies someone who practices Islam. And when we say Islam, it is submission, like meaning you submit to God, because Islam belongs to God. He brought you as a servant in order for you to submit to his will, right? So this is Islam. But many a times you have people thinking when we say Islam, it has to do with the Arabs, right? Because they think Islam started in the 7th century, which is a misconception. Islam did not start in the 7th century. Islam started as long as God started sending prophets to mankind. That is when Islam started. But if you think when we say we keep using the word Islam, you are getting confused. So now correctional officer is going to swap the word Islam to submission. So submission started, right, when God sent prophets to people by delivering his messages to the people. So the people have to submit to such authority. Just like if you are a citizen of any country you belong to, right? You are a law-abiding citizen. You have to submit to the laws of the nation. By that, you become a submitter, a loyal citizen to such country. So same goes with your faith. If you believe there is a supernatural being who controls your destiny, that makes you a believer in him, and that means you have to submit your will to such an entity, right? So by then, if we bring it to Arabic, that is when we say you are a Muslim, right? So I'll be delving into the Quran, quote some Quranic verses to give you the concept of how Islam came by. Islam did not, I repeat, Islam never started in the 7th century, as some people think or assume that that is the case. It's not the case. Muhammad was not the one who brought Islam, right? He, however, was the first to bring it to his people, right? So don't relax, enjoy the show. I'll be quoting verses. I'll be giving you evidences which have to, clarify this misconception away from your thoughts, right? So first of all, like I said, when we say Islam, okay, wait, just a second, ladies and gentlemen. So word web, right? Word web download. I just need to download something here. I'll be using that thing at the same time on the screen. So this was supposed to have been done earlier before I started the program, but unfortunately, these things must happen so that I get to learn it the hard way. So thank you for your patience, and you get to see this. So let's see if I can share the screen with this. Right, let me see what happens here. Yeah. Share the screen like this. Try to search a verse and let's see what pops up, right? So we go to Quran chapter 3, verse 19. Right? Quran chapter 3, verse 19, where it says, indeed, oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, where it says, indeed, oh, can I maximize this? Yeah. Yeah. So kindly let me know if it's clear enough for you to see the verses on the screen. If it's not clear enough, I need to find a way because I was trying to download this Adobe Reader to make it easier, but I seem to have lost my way for that. So I think it's clear enough, right? So it says, indeed, the religion, and when we say religion here, we are talking about believing in a supernatural being who controls your destiny, right? That is what is meant by religion here, right? So we all belong to a form of religion one way or the other, right? You believe in a supernatural being, whether you believe in a spirit, whether you believe in a jinn or the devil being your superior or whatever, that is still classified as religion because it has to determine faith, something you have not seen with your eyes, but you put your faith therein because there's certain circumstances that have to transpire in order for you to have the belief in that. So indeed, the religion with God, right? Indeed, the religion with God is what? Is the submission, right? Is the submission. Then he says, and those who were given the book did not differ except after what had come to them of what? Of the knowledge or knowledge. Out of injustice between them. And whoever disbelieves in the verses of what? Of God, then indeed God is swift in reckoning. Now, this is Quran chapter 3, verse 19, right? So, indeed, the religion with God is what? Is the submission. So, if I have to read this verse in Arabic here, it says, Inna dina inda Allahil Islam. So not only Islam, there is a definite article in front of the word Islam. So it is al-Islam, which means the submission. Now, this is the deen with God, but people will say, how come we never heard of such a deen? No, the concept of submission has always been there. For the Christians watching me, if you go to your own Bible, go to James chapter 4, verse 7. If you go to James chapter 4, verse 7, you're watching me, you can write it down and check it for yourself. It tells you to submit yourself to God, right? And this has been the concept of humanity. This is the fitra, which is the nature of that God has actually established us on. You have to submit to an authority higher than you. So it has always been the case for human beings, wherever we go. It's either you submit to your boss, it's either you submit to your parents, it's either you submit to somebody like authoritative over you, to the police, you surrender. It has always been the case wherever we go, right? So submission has been in existence between us and God since he established us on earth. So it is not a new concept by people thinking, okay, Islam started in the 7th century. Maybe you are thinking we are talking about the man-made version of Islam. No, that's not the case. We have a man-made version of Islam, and then there is the version which actually God wants you to just submit. And you don't actually need to be in a group or a sector or a denomination to determine you being a faithful person to God. That is not what Islam is about, right? So the reason why I quoted this verse was to show you that indeed the religion with God is the submission. What God wants from you, the human being, is to submit. So by this, I'm going to the next verse, which is Quran chapter 3, verse 85. Straight away from this, I go to 3, verse 85. Now, what God says in this verse is that he says, and whoever desires other than the religion of the submission, right? Of the submission, which is what? Al-Islam. In Arabic, it's Al-Islam. Then it will never be accepted from him, and he will be among the losers in the hereafter. Now, when somebody doesn't understand the context of what I'm talking about, they might think, hey, look at this guy. He's just telling us to all be Muslims, to be like the Arabs, to be like these people. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Submitting to God has nothing to do with the modern day Muslims you are seeing out there today. No. When you submit to God, it doesn't befit you to be in a group before you determine that you are a submitter. Submitting to God means you actually do the things that God has instructed you to do. That is what makes you a Muslim. So the word Muslim is an Arabic word. It's not an English word. But however, people have modernized it and Romanized it, and they keep using the word Islam and Muslim for people to think it's a new concept. It's never a new concept. It's been there, right? So now God says, and whoever desires other than the religion of what? Submission. So that's why I'm using the English word for it, so that you get to know the concept of what I'm talking about. You submit your will to God. He is your creator. He's the creator of the heavens and earth. He brought you to the earth. You go back to him, whether you like it or not, right? So that is why in Quran chapter 2, verse 156, we say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We belong to God and we will return to God, whether you like it or not. So far as you are a human being, you will go back, right? So that means you submit willingly or unwillingly. You submit. So this is why in certain instances you see somebody claiming to be an atheist, But when there is about to be an like a earthquake, tsunami, call it tornado, a plane crash, accident, you see the person say, "Oh my God, save us! Oh God, oh God." They don't want to die because it's inevitable. They know you have to go back to God, no matter what, right? So again, I'm quoting the next verse, which is in Quran chapter 3, verse 83, this same chapter. So God says, so is it other than the religion of what? God. So now, when we say the religion, we are talking about believing in a supernatural being who controls your destiny. When I mention destiny, I'm not talking about the misconceptions that people have concerning destiny. I'm talking about, number one, you didn't choose to be born in the family you were born. It wasn't your choice. It was by destiny. You didn't choose to be black, white, green, blue, yellow, fat, slim. You didn't choose that. It was determined by God, and that's by destiny. You don't choose the day you want to die. Somebody will say, okay, what if I want to commit suicide, right? You'll be held accountable for that. That's why there's a judgment day, the day of reckoning. Just like when you are working in the company, your boss will pay you on the end of the month because there's a day of reckoning. Your boss has to check how many hours you have done. What have you done? You understand? Before he pays you salary. Same goes with the taking your own soul. You will be dealt with. So now, is it other than the religion of God? They desire. Then God says, while those in the heavens and the earth have submitted to him willingly and unwillingly. And to him they are what? Returning. So those in the heavens and the earth, whether we like it or not, willingly or unwillingly, you will submit to God. There's a certain form of creation that God has done, whether you like it or you don't like it. Your body or your soul has been programmed to submit to that authority, whether you like it or not. For instance, sleeping, which is mandatory for every human being. You have to sleep. You have the time. You have to sleep. You have to wake up. By nature, there are certain things or certain aspect of your living is the programming by God. You didn't program it to be like that, right? So that is why it gets to a point when people think they are in control of their own soul. They are in charge of everything. God shows them who is the boss, right? So now coming to the aspect of how it evolved, that people think when we talk about Islam, we are actually talking about this modern day Islam. No, we are not talking about Sunni Islam. We are not talking about Shia Islam. We are not talking about Tijaniya, Ahmadiyya, Qadiriya, Salafiyya, Wahhabiyya. Well, no, that is not Islam. Those are cults, right? It's just like, I'll give you an example. It's just like somebody claiming to be what they are not. For example, for those who watch football, if you watch football, right, we have a football fan. There's a football fan, maybe he says he's supporting, let's say, Barcelona or Real Madrid or Manchester United. But the real Manchester United or the football club he's supporting have no idea of his existence. They have no idea who that person is. But he will buy T-shirts and wear jersey and wear representing the football club and saying, yeah, I'm a fan. He goes to watch the match and he's excited. And then, he claims he is a diehard fan, and yet the football club has no idea that he even exists. Now, meaning he has created his own form of joy, thinking he's a member, whilst he has to go and apply in order to become an official football club member. He's not part of that. But he is like in his own illusion, thinking he is a fan of that club. Same goes with the ideology of Islam. People you see in the mainstream, a lot of them will claim, I'm a Muslim. Oh, I was born a Muslim. No, you were not born a Muslim. It's just like saying you were born in the house of mechanic. Your father is a mechanic, your mother is a mechanic. So when you were born in the house of mechanic, automatically it makes you a mechanic. You are dumb to think like that. It's just like being born in the house of a scientist. Your father, your mother, they are all both scientists. Automatically you were born and you say, I was born a scientist. No, you are not. You have to seek knowledge for it. So Quran chapter 17 verse 36 says, do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge, right? And then in vice versa, chapter 16 verse 78 says, God brought you out of the bellies of your mothers knowing nothing. So he gave you the hearing, the eyesight, and the mind, but rarely are you thankful for those, right? He gave you these faculties for a reason, because you have to discern. You have to pay attention. You have to listen, and you should be able to ask questions. And that's why our children, they watch us, they copy us, they ask us questions. They don't want to be stupid, especially for those born in the Western world. Unlike places like Africa and some, third world countries, when a child grows up and is starting to question things, see things, question things, they will rebuke such a child, like, "Hey, stop it! Don't the kid doesn't say that. Don't ask this." So that the fear enters into the kid, and they are prevented from actually discovering the things around them to understand. So by this, I'm going to use Abraham, which has been set to us as the role model. He was set as a what? A leader for mankind. Abraham was set as a leader for mankind. So we go to Quran chapter 2, verse 124, and we see the evidence to that, right? Quran chapter 2, verse 124. Oh, sorry. What just happened here? So Quran chapter 2, verse 124. Am I in the right chapter? What happened? Let's see. Yeah, here. Chapter 2, verse 124. Yeah. So I maximize the page and let's see. Yeah. Okay. So in Quran chapter 2, verse 124, God says, "And when Abraham was tested by his Lord," kindly let me know if it is clear enough for you to see. Yeah. Okay. So he says, "And when Abraham was tested by his Lord with what? With words, and he fulfilled them." So Abraham fulfilled the words of his Lord when he was tested by them. He, God, said, "Indeed, I will what? I will make you a leader for mankind." As it always goes, when you have instruction for students and one is paying is all with all diligence, one is paying attention to all the instructions is being given, and he acts upon them, he will likely end up being the class prophet. You understand? In a group of students, the smartest one will end up being the leader of the group. So same, Abraham fell in that criteria and God used him as an example for that. So then God chose him as a leader for mankind. And what is God telling us? And he says, "And he, Abraham, said, and of my descendants," he was trying to let God add that agreement with for his descendants as well, like he being the leader of his descendants. Then he, God, said, "My agreement will not reach the transgressors." So meaning it will only reach the ones who are faithful to God, who are willing to accept the words of God and follow his instructions. Those are the ones who will have such an agreement, having Abraham as their leader, right? So now, what example are we taking from Abraham? Abraham actually submitted to God. So by this, I'm going to show you the example, which is in Quran chapter 2, verse 130, right? So here God says, "And who will desire other than the creed of Abraham, if not one who fools himself?" So automatically, if you desire another creed, which has nothing to do with Abraham, you're actually fooling yourself. And when you fool yourself, what do you become? A fool. So for we certainly chose him in the world, and indeed he will be what? Among the righteous in the hereafter. But this is the interesting part. 131. "And when his Lord said to him, 'Submit,' he, Abraham, said, 'I have submitted to the Lord of the world.'" So automatically, what does that make Abraham? He became a Muslim. That is by the Arabic word Muslim, right? So when God told him in Arabic, we say, "Iz qala lahu rabbuhu aslim." Then he said, "What? Qala aslamtu li rabbil alamin." I submit to the Lord of the world. So by this honorable man was made as a leader for mankind. So for anybody who was paying attention when I read the verses in Quran chapter 2, verse 124, he was made as a leader for mankind. So if you are following such a role model, what does that make you? You're following his footsteps. You are also trying to be somebody God will accept. So submitting to God is what makes you a Muslim. So by definition, Abraham was a Muslim. But when you use such a word, somebody who takes the words out of context might think, are you saying he was just like the Arabs of today, the way they are depicted? No, that's not the concept, right? Okay. So submitting to God automatically makes you a submitter. And when you are a submitter, you are part of the faith we call submission because you submit to God, right? Okay. So this is what happened at the time of Muhammad. I'm going to what happened at the time of Muhammad. We can see Abraham was the role model which was chosen for mankind, and we are supposed to follow his footsteps. He submitted to God. So now we want to follow his footsteps. But how did people misunderstand the concept saying that Islam actually started in the 7th century, which is wrong? That is not the case. So we are going to see how Islam evolved from all the prophets of God, and then it transcended and came through Muhammad. And then till today, people are thinking this is the modern day Islam. No, it is not. And the one you see people practicing is a far away version of Islam, not even the authentic Islam you find by the words of God, right? So now I take you to Quran chapter 42. Let's see here. Quran chapter 42, verse 13, right? Surah to Shura. And I take you to verse 13. Then I maximize the page for you here. Yeah, and let's see what God says concerning the religion, right? So God says, God has what? He has legislated for you of the what? Of the religion, of the deen, which he advised to Noah. We all know Prophet Noah, right? He was there before even Abraham and so on came, right? So we have Noah, and which we inspired to you, Muhammad, and which we advised to Abraham. So you see, the act of submission was also advised to Abraham. Then we have Moses, and then we have Jesus, right? Peace be upon them, that establish the religion and do not be separated therein. And then what is God telling us? When we say separation, we are talking about division. Just like today, we have division all over. This claiming to be a Sunni, this claiming to be a Tijani, this claiming to be a Christian, this claiming to be a Jew, this claiming to be, so on, Jehovah Witness, Pentecost, Methodist, you keep going. Division, right? We claiming sides instead of just agreeing to submit to one God, right? But then we have been influenced with political issues to cause division. So then God says it is difficult for what? For the polytheist, and not only polytheists, we are talking about idolaters, people who like to idolize certain, entities. It is difficult for the polytheist what you invite them there to. It will be difficult because they can't leave their idols to come and submit to God alone. They don't like that concept, right? So God chooses whomever he wills to it. To what? To the religion that he wants you to be, that is to submit to it. And guides whoever repents to him. So if you repent to God, he will guide you to the submission. Then you can submit to him, right? Now, the reason why I'm quoting this verse is just to place an emphasis that Islam is not about Muhammad alone. It has to do with all the prophets. But I'm repeating again, not the version of Islam you are seeing today out there by the mainstream Muslims, not that version. So please pay attention, right? Okay, so this Islam I'm talking about. Now God is going to send Muhammad as a messenger to bring that same Islam, which is the deen of the truth, to the people. But when I keep using the word Islam, I'm talking about submission. So let me swap the word. I swap the word Islam and I put the word submission there in English. So God is going to bring the same form of submission to the people of Muhammad and then to the world. It's already been there with the prophets, right? Okay. So now, when I take you to Quran chapter 5, verse 3, that is Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 3. Yeah. So after I've stated all this point, I'll be giving chance for the questions and answers where people can ask questions moving forward, right? So Quran chapter 5, verse 3. Now, in the middle of this verse, chapter 5, verse 3, above the verse is talking about animal slaughter. Animal slaughtering, immediately after the issue of the animal slaughtering is done, is going to talk about Islam. So in the middle of the verse here, I'm highlighting it. God says, today I have perfected your religion for you and completed my blessing upon you. He's talking to a particular group of people at the time of Muhammad, including Muhammad himself, peace be upon him. So it's inclusive, right? And he says, and I have what? Approved the submission. That is al-Islam. Al-Islam is an Arabic word. So bring it into English, then we say the submission. So I have approved the submission as what? A religion. What is the religion? Believing in a supernatural being who controls your destiny. That's why you surrender to God. You submit to God. Just like when the police officer stops you on the way and you are guilty of a crime or you are unsure of what you have done, and then police says, hey, surrender, hands up, put your hands down or put your hands up. You just have to surrender because he has more authority than you, right? So by being rebellious, what happens? You'll be punished. And when you're punished, who do you blame? You blame yourself. So that's why God keeps saying in the Quran, if you do good, you do it for yourself. If you do bad, it's still for yourself, right? So now, so God approved the submission as a religion for you. So now, for every human being listening to me, you could be a Christian, you could be a Jew, you could be an atheist, you could be agnostic. If you have decided to submit to God at this present hour, that makes you a submitter to God. You don't have to go to any mosque or any church to say, I want to worship God. I want to be the servant of God. No, 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 no. None of the prophets did like that. You can submit to God because God is with you wherever you are. You can submit to God any given hour. He is with you. He gave you the soul you possess. If you think you are in control of your soul 100%, why didn't you choose the country you should be born in? And why didn't you choose how you should look like? It was later on you decided you want to do liposuction, but that's too late. So now, so then God says, but whoever is what? Is compelled during hunger, because the context above is talking about animal slaughter. But I was showing the middle part of the verse to draw a point. So now we go to how the deen was sent via the messenger to bring it to the people. So then I take you to Quran chapter 61, verse 9, right? So in Quran chapter 61, verse 9, this is how it goes. In Quran chapter 61, verse 9, oh, sorry, what chapter did I open? Should be 61. Yeah, verse 9. Yeah. In Quran chapter 61, verse 9, he, God, is the one who has sent his messenger. Then he said what? With the what? With the guidance and the religion of truth. Because there's a false religion. Anytime you have something which is the truth, there's also the false version, right? In order to manifest it over what? Over every religion, even if the polytheists dislike it, because always it is contention between believers and polytheists, idolaters. Idol worshippers will never submit to God alone. They want somebody of authority to be a mediator always. You will say, oh, without this, you cannot talk to God. Without this, you cannot go to God. Without that, then you're not going here. So it's like God has actually set himself apart from the human beings. It takes somebody to actually be a mediator for you to get in touch with your maker. The irony, right? So now, he is the one who has what? Who has sent his messenger with the what? With the guidance and the religion of truth in order to manifest it over every religion. Even if the polytheists, that is idolaters, dislike it, even if they dislike it, this is what God has done, right? So by this messenger who was given this guidance and the religion of truth to bring to the people, he himself is going to admit that he is a submitter to God, right? So by this, let me see. I take you to Quran chapter 40, verse 66. Let's see if it takes me there. Okay, if it doesn't, I can open from here. Chapter 40, verse 66. Okay. Yeah. So he says, it tells the messenger who has been sent with the religion of truth, he says, say, indeed, I have been forbidden to worship what? To worship those you invoke besides God. So those you are invoking besides God, God has forbidden you from worshiping them because they are also creations. They were created by God. So how can you be worshiping the creation of God? It makes no sense. I would rather worship the creator. So indeed, I have been forbidden to worship those you invoke besides God after the proofs, right? After the proofs, what? From my Lord came to me. And I have been commanded to do what? So we go to the next verse. And I've been commanded to submit to the Lord of the worlds. So this is Muhammad, peace be upon him, being instructed as a messenger to say these things. Now, we saw the example of Abraham, who was set as a role model, the leader for mankind that we have to take example from. This messenger who was sent also, this is what he says. He has been forbidden from invoking any other idols aside God. So he has to worship God alone and submit to the Lord of the worlds. Now, this same messenger who is asked to submit to the Lord of the worlds, whose footsteps was he asked to follow? So I take you to Quran chapter 16, verse 1 to 3. In Quran chapter 16, verse 1 to 3, we are going to see whose footsteps he was asked to follow, right? So Quran chapter 16, verse 1 to 3, maximize this to 800. Oh, sorry. I go back. Sorry about this. Chapter 16, verse 1 to 3. Then I maximize this. Yeah. In Quran chapter 16, verse 1 to 3, it says, then we inspire to you. So for those who know Arabic, it says ilaika. Ilaika is a second person pronoun, which denotes one person. So he says, then we inspire to you, Muhammad, to follow the creed of Abraham orthodoxly, for he was not of the what? Idolaters. That is the polytheist, right? So he was asked to follow uh, the creed of Abraham, right? So now we are going to see how Prophet Muhammad or the messenger actually admitted to being guided in the footsteps of Abraham. So now we go to Quran chapter 6, verse 161. Right? In Quran chapter 6, verse 161, here he says, he's been asked to say, indeed, my Lord has guided me to a what? To a straight path. This is what he says, a straight path. Then he says, an upright religion, the creed of what? Abraham, the Orthodox, right? Which is morally accepted by God, which is why he's an Orthodox person, like a creed of Abraham, the Orthodox, Hanifa. For he was not of the what? Idolaters, which is mushriks, the polytheists. He was not there. So this is Muhammad as a messenger admitting to being guided to the what? Straight path, an upright religion, the creed of Abraham. Because Abraham was set as a leader for us, for mankind to follow. We are taking this example from him, right? To submit to God. Now, for whoever is watching this, claiming that Muhammad was the bringer of Islam, you have to think twice. You have either been lied to from an external source, which has nothing to do with the words of God, and then you assume that is the truth you're saying about Islam, which is wrong. This is the messenger himself in the Quran admitting to follow the creed of Abraham. And we saw what Abraham followed, and we saw who Abraham submitted to, right? Abraham was not submitting to a creation, but he was submitting to a creator. So there's a difference. So here, the messenger Muhammad alayhi salam was also told to follow the footsteps of this honorable man ahead of him, and he should also do the same. He admitted, and he's telling us. Now, let's check what Muhammad, who was sent with the religion of truth and the guidance, what was it that he was asked to tell us to also submit to? So then I take you to Quran chapter 3, verse 95, right? So in Quran chapter 3, verse 95, In Quran chapter 3, verse 95, the messenger was asked to tell us, say, God has told the truth, meaning God has spoken the truth. So he says, so follow the creed of what? Abraham, the Orthodox, for he was not of the what? Polytheists. He was not of the idolaters. He was not of the polytheists. Now, this is Muhammad as a messenger telling us to follow the creed of Abraham. So automatically, if I'm a modern day Muslim and I'm listening to other people telling me about Islam without listening to the words of God, what will I be practicing? I'll be practicing the mainstream Muslims out there who are actually following a cult, which has nothing to do with the book we call Quran. The Quran is asking you to follow the creed of Abraham. And then we saw Abraham was a submitter to God, which makes him a Muslim, which is the Arabic word. So you just need to submit to God. It has nothing to do with being with a denomination or a sectarian party or a political party or whatever. No. Submit your will to God. Just check the scriptures, see where God is instructing you what to do. That's all. Forget about people's opinion. In the Quran, you find the footsteps of the devil. You find the footsteps of the jinns. You find the footsteps of Pharaoh. You find the footsteps of Haman. You find the footsteps of, so on. But does that mean I have to follow those? No. Even though I find them in the Quran, what I need to follow is where God is instructing me. That's what I follow. Same goes people who claim they believe in the Bible. Don't waste your time going to follow people's opinions in the Bible. Check where God is speaking and follow. Check where Jesus is telling you this is what God says and follow. Stop following people's opinion. At the end of the day, you will all be judged in front of God. It's just like being at a workplace and your boss has already signed a contract with you, giving you instructions, and then you are here following another worker's opinion. At the end of the day, both of you can be fired. It makes no sense. Do you see the point? So you submit your will to God. What he asks you to do, do it. Because at the end of the day, you go to your 6 feet, you get up, he's going to question you. You have the right answers to answer because you did what he told you. But if you go and do what somebody else say, and you come and stand just like the Christians, if you go to, I think, Matthew chapter 7, verse 21 downwards or so, and Jesus will say, the people will say, Lord, Lord, we have done this in your name, we have done this. He will say, get away from me. None will be saved except the one who has done the will of the Father, right? So if you do the will of the Father, you are safe. You go and do somebody's will, that's up to you. You are in danger, right? So coming back to the notion of the messenger, what he was asked to bring, he was asked to bring the guidance and the religion of truth. The religion of truth is supposed to decipher itself away from the religion of falsehood. And we can see the religions of falsehood around us. We see it daily. We see how people concoct certain things, which is not part of the faith. With the things you are practicing, ask yourself, was it what Abraham did? If that is not what Abraham did, who are you following? Because if you claim you are the seeds of Abraham, you have to do what your master did or your father did. Why are you doing what is different from what your father did? Okay. So anyways, so this is Quran chapter 3, verse 95. The messenger telling us that God has told the truth. So he says, follow the creed of what? Abraham, the Orthodox, for he was not of the what? Idolaters. That is a polytheist, right? Okay. So now, when we submit ourselves to God, I take you to Quran chapter 6, verse 71. Right? So by following not chapter. I take it to the same chapter, chapter 3, verse 67. This same chapter I am in. Chapter 3, verse 67. Or what can I do about this? Can I scroll up? Yeah. Here, chapter 3, verse 65. I start from 65. What did I just do? Yeah, sorry about this. Chapter 3. Okay, I open it from this side. Verse 65. He says, "Oh, people of the book." Now, we all know people who claim to be the people of the book, people who claim they have the books of God with them, right? So, "Oh, people of the book, why do you argue about who? Why do you argue about Abraham while the Torah and the gospel were only revealed after him? Will you then not reason? Will you then not reason?" And why is God saying this? He says, here you are, here you are those who have argued about what you have knowledge. So why are you arguing about what you do not have knowledge? But God knows while you do not know, right? So now verse 67. Abraham was neither a Jew nor a Christian. And no one can dispute with me on this. No one can come forward and say Abraham was a Jew or Abraham was a Christian. You will be making a mockery of yourself. You look stupid saying that. If you say Abraham was a Jew or a Christian, you look stupid saying that. He was neither of the above. So, but he was an Orthodox submitter. And the word submitter in English, we bring it to Arabic, is Muslim, right? Now, the misconception people have when we say Moses was a Muslim, Jesus was a Muslim, Abraham was a Muslim, the reason why people have misconception is because I'm using the word Muslim. So they think it's a like an English word or like an established word. It's an Arabic word. It's not an English word. By saying it's a Muslim, some people can phantom that because they have been taught that Islam started in the 7th century. So of course, it will not make sense to them. But that's not the case. They were only submitting to the will of God. Jesus said the same. Moses said the same. Abraham said the same. Noah says the same. So what is the difference? The correctional officer is saying the same. I submit to the will of God. I don't care about what some sheikh or imam somewhere says. So far as I don't find it in the words of God, you're wasting your time. I'm sitting here, I'm wearing a necklace. You hear some mainstream Muslims telling you necklace is haram. Please, if you are a Christian, you are a Jew, you are agnostic, you are atheist, you hear any Muslim telling you necklace is haram, just tell him the book of your authority, the book of authority that you follow, the Quran, open it and show me where necklace is haram. And then you see them, wobbling, waffling their eyes, rolling their eyes in confusion. Because this is the man-made version of Islam they have created for you. I only submit to God. I don't submit to what people say when it comes to my faith. Right? So this is the simplest form that God has given you. So in this aspect, after this verse, we can see that Abraham was neither a Jew nor a Christian. Because this is a claim. People who say they are Jewish, they come from Judaism. And these were all established after Moses. Moses was never a Jew. People will misunderstand this concept. He's an Israeli. He's an Israelite. And that is a tribe. And that is a clan. They are related by blood. And God divided them into 12 tribal nations. And then they spread through earth, and we are here today. Right? So many of us are in Africa. Many of us are in the Middle East. Many of us have spread all over. Right? But then people have this misconception, thinking when we say a Jew and a Israeli, they are the same thing. No. And when I say Israeli, I'm not talking about the Israel, the nation of Israel created in the year 1948 as a state. I'm not talking about that. That is just a modern version day called Israel. It never existed in 1945, 1944, 1943, never existed. There's no country on earth called Israel. It just came 1948. Look it up. So now when we are talking about a Jew, we are talking about people of Judaism. Abraham was neither of the above. Christian, Jew, no. Christianity was only formed after Christ. Jesus himself was not a Christian. It will not make sense for Jesus to say, I'm a Christian. No, it doesn't make sense. Jesus was submitting to the will of God. And that's why he kept saying, I'm only submitting to the will of my Father above. He never did his will, but the will of God. In essence, that makes him a Muslim. That is the Arabic word. So he's submitted to God, right? So now we can see, but Abraham was not was an Orthodox submitter. When we say Orthodox, we are talking about rightly accepted, up to standard, right? Which is accepted, morally accepted by God. That is the Orthodox submitter. So now, in conclusion to this part, before I give chance, check the questions I take you to Quran chapter 22, verse 78. That is Surah Al-Hajj, chapter 22, verse 78, to see the simplicity of submitting to God without disturbing yourself with any man-made doctrines, right? Because as it stands now, a lot of people have been indoctrinated today, so they are confused as to what religion is about. So God says in Quran chapter 22, verse 78, and strive for God with true striving to Him. So you have to strive for God with true striving to Him, because we have people doing false version of the striving. He has chosen you in plural form. He has chosen you and has not placed any difficulty upon you in the religion. The God who created you has given you the simplest form of worshiping Him, serving Him, submitting to Him. He made it simple. But what do you see today? What do you see today? Sectarians, people putting down laws for you, legislations for you, complicating your lives for God's sake. But you refuse to study, you refuse to learn. The other day, somebody was telling me, why will God speak to us from a book? Where do you want God to speak to you from? From a radio or television? Or tell me, where do you want God to, or Facebook or TikTok? Where? You seem to be wiser than God, right? So tell us, where do you want God to speak to you? Since mankind was established, the mode of communication that spread the whole world is by writing, by books. The constitution of your country, where is it written? In a book. You go to the courtroom, the judge is going to judge you. What does he judge you by? By the book. It's always the book. So God, knowing this, wiser than you, decided to make his words to be written in the book so that you access it. So lack of knowledge, you perish, because you have to study. You have to check what the book says. Right? That's why when we came to the Western world, we see people reading newspapers, reading news articles. Unlike today, that the modern day has changed, that we want to use tablets and our phones to access news, but it's the same form. Because if you're using tablet back then, if you go in the, let's say, if you go back to the, let's say the 19th century, you go back to, let's say, 18th, 19th century. When we say tablet, we are talking about something that has been made that can have records saved on it that you can access. Tablet. Even a fasting book can be made into tablet at that time. So in that timeline, when you say tablet, it has a different meaning to now when we say tablet, because then we are talking about the iPads and the Samsung pads and so on. You understand? So it's in the same form, but in a different form of understanding. So Quran chapter 22, verse 78, and strive for God with true striving to Him. And then he says what? He has chosen you and has not placed any difficulty upon you in the religion, the creed of your ancestor. You see where God is heading us to. He's taking us back to the leader of mankind. The leader of mankind in the sense of when we say leader, we are talking in an Arabic form that is imam. Imam. Many a times you hear people saying, I'm going to the mosque, there's an imam. Imam means a leader. Abraham was chosen as a leader for mankind. Unless if you are an animal, then yeah, you are not part of it. But if you are a human being, God has chosen Abraham. If you are stubborn, that's up to you. So you always choose the best to lead the people. And this is the best. That is Abraham. The creed of your ancestor, and he said what? Abraham. He named you. He, Abraham, named us submitters. You can find that in Quran chapter 2, verse 128. He actually supplicated to God that God should raise up a submitting nation, a Muslim nation, right? So I will use the English word, a submitting nation, to submit to God, to do the will of God. That is earlier on, before. Then he says what? And it is concerning this that the messenger will be a witness over you, and you may be witnesses over the people. So establish the litany and give the charity and stick to God. He is your guardian, and wonderful is the guardian, and wonderful is the helper. So we have no one but God. So that's why we come from God and we go back to God. Nobody else. Who are you going to bring? Anyone you're going to mention aside God is a creation. He's not the creator. Unless you are following other people's opinions. And that's where the conflict of interest comes in. So to summarize it before I go to the question and answers, I go to Quran chapter 10, verse 82. Then we see how to establish the words of God to the people. So Quran chapter 10, then I take you to verse 82. That is Surah to Yunus. So in Quran chapter 10, verse 82, God says, and God will enforce the truth with his words, even if the criminals dislike it. And just like the correctional officer is doing right now by using the words of God to establish the truth on JC Radio. So God will enforce the truth with his words, not somebody's words, not my opinions, not your scholar, your whatever you have, your imam, your priest, your pastor, your clergy, you mention them, your monks. No, we don't need their words. They are human like you. They can err. To err is human. But God does not forget and does not make mistakes. So who will you rather side with? I'd rather side with God. Correctional officer sitting here, I could make a mistake. But if you don't have something to cross-check me with, and you're going to use somebody's opinion to cross-check me, at the end of the day, we all are entitled to our own opinions, remember. But when we are dealing with God, put your opinion aside and let's work with the words of God. That will bring you peace, and that will make your life easy, right? So whenever I go somewhere, somebody will say, correctional officer, babashuaib, why are you wearing a necklace? I said, why? Is it a problem? He said, oh, I thought you are a Muslim, so it's haram. Really? Is it haram? Can you prove it? Give me a verse. Then there's oh, my sheikh says this, my imam says that. My sheikh says this, my imam says, well, the last time I checked, I'm not a servant to your sheikh or your imam, or neither am I asked to submit to you, your sheikh's or imam's will, but to God's will. So show me where God says wearing a necklace is forbidden. If you can't, then keep disturbing yourselves. I'm willingly submitting to God with all my, conscience, So that is the difference. So let me go back to the page and see what I'm missing. Yeah, sorry, I've not been reading the comments, but let me go through what I'm missing here. I have Brother Isa Watson. Yeah, salam. I see you. I see Faris King. I see you. Salam. Amira and Musa Khan. I see you. Sheikh Yusuf, Salis Jimmy, Robin's Kitchen. I see Irene Safia, Stussy. Hey, Salis Jimmy, I see you. Baba Seidu Naganka. Salam. Baba Seidu, Salis Jimmy. Yeah. We have Donuru, Shohag Mahmoud. I see you all. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that. Musaddiq, Jibril, Don Abbas, Amadou, Abdullah Salim, Mohammed, I know you are watching me. Yes. We have Bizel B. Bari Bari. Thank you all. Thank you all for your loyalty and thank you all for being present. We have Bebe Rauf from Canada, right? Montreal, Canada. Thank you for being present. And let me see for those watching from JC Radio. Okay, yeah. Yes. Thank you all for being present. I appreciate the support. Let's see what happens here. Wait, just a second. Just a second here. Yeah. So kindly write down your questions. I come back to your questions. We have Sister Kaiser, that is Zainab. I see you. Mazmahe, Sheun Jamiu. I see you. Muhammad Ashari. Thank you all for coming. Yeah, I'm trying to put up the phone numbers for those who can call. Let me see. Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, Salam, Abdul Kudus, I see you. Thank you for coming. I'm trying to see if the phone number is here for me to put it on the page. Okay. Um, yes, plus 358 469 65 3299. Right? Yeah. So I'm connecting this. You can call via WhatsApp. Yeah, that's the number. For those who want to call and ask questions, you can call. And for those who are on watching from Facebook, YouTube, you can type your questions. I'll pay attention to your question and try my best to answer as possible. Yeah. Um, Talib says, what is meant by keeping the middle prayer? Keeping the middle prayer. You say, what is meant by keeping the middle prayer? Can you make more your question like more specific? Let it have clarity. But before I go to your question, please, I just spoke about a topic, right? I just talk about something. Don't let us go off topic. I just spoke about something. I discuss Islam and what the Quran says, right? Please, with all diligence, pay attention to the topic and ask me questions there. If you want to ask me off-topic questions, it will be beneficial to ask me, later when I'm on my page or later when I'm doing that kind of question and answers. I just spoke about Islam and what the Quran says. That was the topic. So please let your questions base on what I just taught or what I just spoke about, right? So that it will be interesting for for the listeners to also benefit instead of going off topic. It will distract everything I just spoke about. Meaning whatever I spoke about will be useless to you, right? So kindly let your questions be based on what I spoke about. If you have any misconception concerning what I spoke about, as people saying Islam started in the 7th century, or people saying Islam started with Prophet Muhammad, or people thinking if somebody say it's a Sunni Muslim, what is that? Can you ask me such questions, right? In every aspect of life, you start from 1 before you go to 2. Don't jump with me to number 10, all right? Because then whoever comes in right now will miss everything because we will misunderstand the concept of what we are discussing because he has no idea what I spoke about in the beginning, right? So let's base the questions on the topic I discussed, Islam and what the Quran says. Ask me questions about Islam, right? Yes. The number is on the page. You can call to ask your questions. If you're based in Finland, you're welcome. You can call direct call. Let me see. Yeah. I just have about less than 30 minutes to end the program. Less than 30 minutes to end the program. Yeah. So, like I said, let your questions be based on the topic of discussion. Don't go off topic. That will cause a distraction. So, kindly, you know, pay attention to my request, and then let's make the things easier for each other. Right? Yeah. Uh, Abubakar Abdul Jalil says, let me see if I can put it on the page. He says, Sheikh, how do this sect, Shia, Sunni, and the rest come about? How did they come about? That is a good question. When we say this sectarianism, the concept of sectarianism always comes when there is this jealousy, injustice. Because the first thing God commanded us is to establish the deen and should not be divided. We should establish the religion and should not be divided. We have to come together to agree that there is only one Lord. So I'm going to give you a basic example in the Quran, right? Let me use Quran chapter 3, verse 64. In Quran chapter 3, verse 64, this will clarify that aspect for us, right? So I'll share the screen and let's talk about this aspect now. In Quran chapter 3, verse 64, here, it says, say, O people of the book. Now, when we say people of the book, we are talking about people of the Torah, people of the Gospel, Injil, people of the Zabur, and so on, right? Some people will say, oh, is it talking about people of the Bible? Well, if you want to include them, that's up to you. Fine. O people of the book, let's come to equal term between us and you, that we shall not worship except God. Neither shall we associate anything with him, nor shall we take each other as lords besides God. But if they turn away, then say, bear witness that we are submitters. Now, if you check the verse I just read, the messenger was asked to tell the people of the book, oh, people of the book, let's come to equal term between us and you. Now, this is how separation starts. When people hate the truth, division occurs. And when division occurs, people name their own group separately, right? And this instance is in Quran chapter 98, verse 1. لَمْ يَقُلِ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ آلِ الْكِتَابِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ مُنْفَيِّكِينَ حَتَّى تَأْتِيَهُمُ الْبَيِّنَةُ. That is Quran chapter 98, verse 1. Now, whenever you bring the truth and evidence to people, and you say, let's agree on this evidence, you will have somebody out of nowhere saying, no, I don't agree with you, right? If you sit them down logically, you see that they are kaput in the head. So say, oh, people of the book, let's come to equal term between us and you, that we shall not worship except God. He is worthier to be worshipped because he was not created. He is not a creation. But whatever else you invoke is a creation. Whoever else you bring is a creation. Right? So let's come to equal term between us and you, that we shall not worship except God, neither shall we associate anything with what? With him. Because it's an abomination to do that. Quran chapter 4, verse 36. And Quran chapter 18, verse 110. You are not supposed to associate anything with God. Nor shall we take each other as lords. And this is where another problem comes. When people start taking other people as lords, taking their idols, their sheikhs, their imams, their pastors, their clerics, they are as lords, meaning they are superior to make decisions over you when it comes to your matters of your faith. That's a problem. Put God first, right? Besides God. But if they turn away, then say, bear witness that we are submitters, meaning Muslims, right? So this is the modern day version of the word, Muslims, but it's submitters in essence. So you submit to God alone. That's what makes you a Muslim, right? Good. So how does the division happen? The division happen because people have decided to associate idols, to give them legislation of a deen God never approved. So the example is found in Quran chapter 42, verse 21. So I'm answering your question to show you how the divisions happen, right? How we came about having sectarians in religion, right? Right. So here, so that is Quran chapter 42, verse 21. So God says, or do they have associates? When we say associates in this essence, we are talking about idols, right? We are talking about idols. They are associates who have legislated for them of a religion to which God has not authorized. Do they have such associates? And if not for the decisive word, he, God, will have judged between them. Indeed, the transgressors will have a painful punishment. So God is questioning the sectarians. Do they have associate? Because that is when the division starts. Because they have certain idols who legislate for them, who will tell them, do this, don't do that, take this, take this. Where is the proof? No proof. But these people want to uphold what their shuyukhs tell them, what their imams tell them, without evidence, right? So for them of a religion, because if it is Islam, we should find the proof in the book of God. So far as your scholar is telling you something, your imam is telling you something, your pastor is telling you something, your sheikh is telling you something we cannot trace back to the words of God, there's a problem. That is where conflict of interest starts and sectarianism gets spread out. Then Shia will be proud, Sunni will be proud, Tijaniya will be proud, Ahmadiyya will be proud. It is everywhere. Don't think it's only about Islam that people are divided. You come to Christianity, we have Jehovah, we have Methodists, we have Pentecost, we have Orthodox, we have, you name them, they are there like that, division. Because of their idols, so they want to use their idols to give legislation. So God is now asking a question. Do they have idols who have legislated for them of a religion to which God has not authorized? Do they have such? Eventually, people who want to argue with the truth will tell you, yeah, I have my pastor or my sheikh, my imam says this, my this one says this, my scholar says this. Is it about what God says or what your scholar says? This is where division starts, right? So that is how we came about having the Sunni, the Shia, because all of them are proud of their scholars, the predecessors, right? What they say, this is what they uphold. What God says is useless for them, right? It's totally out of coverage area for them. Right? So, Abu Bakr, that's your answer to the question. Isa Watson says, Islam was always there since the beginning. Please correct me. Yeah, Islam has always been there. But when we talk about human beings, Islam is with the prophet, just like God stated, right? It has to come through the prophets. Then they have to give it to the people, right? Because the notion of Islam is to have the embodiment of a principle that you have to follow from God. So unlike Adam, when we take the story of Adam, we don't see any word called Islam next to Adam. Of course, his was to follow, to have obedience to God, to obey certain instructions. But when we come to the notion of the prophet, we see the concept of Islam because you have to submit to God and follow certain patterns of rules at the same time, right? Robin's Kitchen says Ibrahim was based in the religion of Israel, right? So why did he go? Wait, he says Ibrahim was based in the region. Ibrahim was based in the region of Israel. So, right? So why did he go all the way to Mecca to build the Kaaba? You mean Ibrahim was based in the region of Israel? When Ibrahim was on earth, there was no country or there was no place called Israel. So, like, your question is a bit confusing. And when Ibrahim was also alive, there was no country, there was no city called Mecca. Mecca only existed at the time of the Prophet Muhammad, right? If you go to Quran chapter 48, verse 24, maybe I can put it on the screen. Quran chapter 48. Chapter 48, verse 24. Oh, let's see what is happening. Sorry about this. Yeah. This is taking a bit time. I don't know what's happening. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, if you go to Quran chapter 48, verse 24, you see Makkah mentioned there. It was only at the time of Prophet Muhammad that Makkah came into being. Just like, for instance, I give an example. I'm from Ghana, right? Ghana, in the early 40s and 50s, there was no country called Ghana. What we had was Gold Coast. There was a country called Gold Coast. But after the year 1957, it was named Ghana. So when you are talking about the history of Ghana, it only started at 1957. But then before Ghana became Ghana, there was only Gold Coast. At that time, they didn't know a country called Ghana, right? So somebody based in the era of Gold Coast has no idea. At his time, he has no idea what country is Ghana. There was no existence of Ghana, right? Same way goes with the notion of the Makkah issue. Makkah only was established at the time of Muhammad. At the time of Abraham, there was no people called, these Arabians or Makkah. No. But the word Bakka, chapter 3, verse 96, existed, right? It was there. Bakka. That is Quran chapter 3, verse 96. We have Bakka. Then there's Makkah. Makkah is a city which we still see based in Saudi Arabia today. When Muhammad was alive, there was no country called Saudi Arabia, which is the region of the Arabia, right? There was no country called Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was only named as a country after, later on. So this is how it goes. So let your question be specific. Sometimes the way we ask questions can be confusing. If your question is confusing, the answer cannot be straight. Faris King says, Salam, what about those who do not know anything about the existence of the Quran or its teaching? How then will they be blamed? Quran wasn't the only book God sent to mankind. God sent other forms of guidance. So Quran, Faris, your question is here, and I'm going to put this on the screen to answer your question. So when we go to Quran chapter 3, verse 3, right? We go to Quran chapter 3, verse 3, and I'm going to read up to verse 4. So he, God, has revealed the book to you in truth, confirming what was before it, as he revealed the Torah and the gospel before, as guidance for the people, that is for mankind. The word linas encompasses all people, mankind, right? So before the Quran came into existence, before the Quran came into existence, sorry. Yeah. Before the Quran came into existence, he, God, has revealed the book to you in truth, confirming what was before it, as he revealed the Torah. We have the Torah, which is encompassed with laws and judgment. Laws and judgment. That is what makes up the Torah. Then we have the gospel, which is encompassed with the good news to the people, right? Which was brought by Jesus, right? Isa alayhi salam. That was before. As guidance for the people. So it was already there for the people. There was already guidance on earth. It's not as if the Quran is now bringing the first guidance. No. Of course, Quran chapter 2, verse 185. Quran was revealed as a guidance for mankind as well. But there's a reason why God brought down the Quran, because there have been corruptions all over. People trying to twist the words of God, hiding the words of God, mixing the falsehood with the truth. Quran chapter 3, verse 71. Check it for yourself. So God is warning us. We shouldn't be mixing truth with falsehood. How do we mix truth with falsehood? You can only get the truth via God. But what do people do? They add their opinions of their idols together with the words of God. That is where the conflict of interest arises. So God says he has revealed the book to you in truth, confirming what was before it. As he revealed the Torah, he was the one who revealed the Torah and the gospel, right? Before. And when I'm talking about the Torah and the gospel, I'm not talking about Bible. Bible is a book formed in the 16th century, right? We have the old versions of the Bible. We have something like the Geneva Bible. We have the King James Version. We have the Tyndale version. I think that's the oldest English version. It was when it was made into that form, they named it Bible, right? So the word Bible, you don't find it in the Bible itself. So it was made into that form from the 16th century, right? But they rewrote it. That is, by rewriting it, they wrote it into English. When they translated it to English, it was formed from the Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek language, and then they brought it into English. So that is why some books are taken out, put there. This takes some books out, fix this in, and do this and do that, right? So when I'm talking about the Torah, I'm talking about the laws and the judgments God gave the children of Israel in order to govern their lives and conduct, right? That is what I'm talking about. So if I take you to Quran chapter 5, verse 44, God revealed the Torah, which therein there is guidance and light for the people, where the prophets actually used it to judge the people who claim they are Jews. The prophets were not Jewish. They were not Jews. It was the people they judge who are Jewish, right? So there's a difference in this understanding. When the Quran mentioned the Torah and the gospel, people automatically are thinking we are talking about the Torah, which now they have in the Bible. They have the 5 books of Moses, and then they claim this is the Torah. No, it is not that Torah we are talking about. The Torah they have in the Bible, you go to Deuteronomy chapter 34, verse 5, and read up to verse 8. It claims Moses died and he was buried next to the mountain of Moab. So if that was the one God gave Moses, how come Moses has a book talking about his own death? It will make no sense, right? However, we can find some words of God in the book called Bible, but entirely no. The Torah is not what the Quran is talking about in the sense of the Bible. Same goes with the issue of the gospel. When we say the gospel, we are not talking about gospel according to St. Luke or St. Matthew or St. Mark or St. John. No, we are talking about gospel, which is Injil Jesus brought as a good news to the people to tell them, right? So when you take the new form of gospel, what it does is it tells you the versions of people's opinion, people's point of view about Jesus or about his disciples and people around him. But we are talking about what God sent him with. I think it's in Matthew chapter 15, verse 24, where Jesus says, I was not sent but to the lost sheep of Israel. So meaning he has been sent with a message to the people. I cannot send you without anything. When someone sends you, he sends you with a message. He sent you with something to the people. So he brought the gospel, the good news to the people. So this is what the Quran is talking about. God revealed such messages before as guidance for the people. And he revealed the criterion, what gives you the difference between wrong and right. That is what we call Furqan. And Moses brought that, and Jesus also did the same, right? Indeed, those who disbelieve in the verses of God will have a severe punishment, for God is mighty with vengeance. So this is the concept of what? The question this brother was asking. That is Faris King. He says, Salam, what about those who do not know anything about the existence of the Quran or its teachings, right? They already had guidance in the past. People are aware of guidance. However, God brought the Quran because people are hiding the truth. People are hiding the truth from away from the people. So the reason why I put the Quran on the page and I'm reading it in English for people to see, because a lot of the Christians out there, a lot of the believers in religion out there, they have books translated in English and they are reading and they think this is the form of the book God revealed initially, not knowing that it was only translated, right? So if you even ask them, where is the original copy? They are confused. They don't know in which even language. For instance, I give an example. The Bible doesn't claim it was originally revealed in Aramaic or Hebrew or Greek or English. The Bible itself doesn't claim that. The Bible itself doesn't claim that God revealed a book called Bible. No, these are like the men who do that. Is the handwork of men by saying this is the Holy Bible. And this is the book from Aramaic, Hebrew, and Greek. God never even claimed he revealed it in Greek. Unlike the Quran, you take the Quran is claiming to be from God. Quran chapter 10, verse 37, and Quran chapter 4, verse 82. The Quran is claiming to be in Arabic language. Quran chapter 16, verse 102. Quran chapter 26, verse 193 to 195. It claims for itself. Do you see the concept here? However, I'm not saying the Bible is a garbage book. No. In the Bible, you will find words or you will find statements which are confirmed by God also in the Quran. So if you, with all diligence, you can take the Bible and read in English, why don't you do the same and take the Quran in English and read also and check what the book is claiming to be? But you find people with antagonism and hatred saying that, oh, this is about Arabic people or Arabians, or is from about the Middle Eastern people. We are not interested. No, no, no. It's a guidance for mankind. The Quran doesn't claim to be a book for the Arabs. No, 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 no. You'll be mistaken if you think that way. The Quran chapter 2, verse 185 claims to be a guidance for mankind. So pay attention to that, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll be bringing the topic to an end soon, but let's deal with some salam Sayyidinu Brazil Naganka. Let's see here. Yes, Brother Isa Watson, Becca is mentioned in the Bible. I think in the book of Psalms, if I'm right, it should be in Psalms 90, around the 90s chapters going. It's mentioned there. I have the file on it, but I'll only need to confirm on that. Right? Psalms is mentioned. I have to confirm that. In the book of Psalm, yes, book of Psalm. Yeah, you go to Psalm chapter 84, verse 4. The Bakka is mentioned there, right? Psalm chapter 84, verse 4. Bakka is mentioned there, right? Okay. So what happens is, let me see. Okay, let's see what Robin is saying. He says, yes, I know, but he lived in that region. So why did he go all the way down south to build a Kaaba? It's like you live in Finland and you go to Germany to build your business. It's no problem. We have people who are based in Finland. They go to Turkey or Spain to build a house. So Robin Kitchen, don't think that way, right? Don't think, oh, why is he living here? But why does he have to go there to do? Why do you think the Europeans were in Europe, but they came to Africa to establish castles and so on? It's normal. It's nothing new to think that, oh, Abraham was based here. Why did he go there? It's not illogical, right? It is logical. So don't think that way. Fari says, you're talking about now, most people in some villages do not know about it. Like God communicates to people in many ways, right? God does not only communicate to people through only books. I give you the example. I know people will not understand what I'm saying here, but I'm going to help you with this. If I take you to Quran chapter 42, right? And I take you to verse 51. Chapter 42, verse 51, right? And I'm going to show you something, how God communicates to people. He did the same with Abraham. It doesn't have to be through only a book that God communicates with you. He can inspire you to guidance, right? So Quran chapter 42, verse 51, God says, and it is not for a human that God should speak to him except by inspiration. That is number one. or behind a partition, that is number 2. Or he sends a messenger to inspire what he wills by his permission. Indeed, he is supreme and wise. So 3 options by the way God speaks to people. So God can speak to you by inspiration, that is number 1. God can speak to you behind a partition, that's number 2. God can speak to you through a messenger, that's number 3. So in the form of a messenger, he can bring in the form of a book, because it's like a letter. Imagine somebody based in US and you are based in Ghana. Back in the days, they write a letter and then give it to the courier, that is the messenger, and then they bring it to you. Then the same God can speak to you behind a partition, as we saw him doing with Moses, right? Behind a partition, meaning Moses couldn't see God directly. So there's something separating him and Moses, right? And then by inspiration, he can inspire you and communicate with you in the head. God speaks to people these forms. So it is not only by a physical book God communicates. He did it with Abraham. So let's see the example. I take you to Quran chapter 6, right? In Quran chapter 6, that is Surah Al-An'am, then I take you to, let's say, verse 75. I just need to extend the time a bit, because I think I've done, let's see, I've done 1 hour, 51 minutes. So in 2 hours, I have to stop the topic, right? If I take you to Quran chapter 6, oh, sorry. Yeah. In Quran chapter 6, verse 75 downwards, right? And thus did we show Abraham the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, so that he would be of those who are certain. And then he says, and when the night was dark on him, he saw a planet. He said, this is my Lord. And when it disappeared, he said, I do not like those who disappear. And when he saw the moon rising, he said, this is my Lord. And when it disappeared, he said, indeed, if my Lord does not guide me, I will be of the misguided people. Right? Then verse 78, and when he saw the sun rising, he said, this is my Lord. This is bigger. But when it disappeared, he said, my people, indeed, I am free from what you associate, meaning idolize. Indeed, I have directed my aim, my attention orthodoxly to the one who created the heavens and the earth. And I am not of the polytheists, that is the idolaters. And his people argue with him. He said, do you argue with me about God while he has guided me? So do you see how God guided Abraham? It's by reasoning. And God has to use inspiration to inspire him to see the difference on knowing the truth and falsehood. So in order for people to find truth in life, you have to always stumble across the falsehood first before you come to the truth. Without knowing what falsehood is, you cannot understand how the truth works. So every entity, every human being must go through the form of finding the truth, falsehood first before arriving to the truth. That is how you can decipher and know the difference. So Abraham, when he was confused about God, imagine, it wasn't a book which guided him. It wasn't a book which made him realize who God was. It was what? In the form of inspiration. So God has to inspire him to have that thought, to have that reasoning, the critical thinking, to question things around him. Right? So by doing this, he realized, no, God cannot be a creation. Because how can you create a statue and you're worshiping it and you say it should guide you or do something? No. So when he realized that, he told his people, and his people argued with him. He said, do you argue with me about God while he has guided me? For I do not fear what you associate with him, unless my Lord wills something. My Lord encompasses all things in knowledge. Will you then not take heed? Right? And how shall I fear what you associate, meaning idolize, while you do not fear that you have associated others with him, with God, for which he has not sent down any authority to you? So which of the two groups is worthier of security, if you should know? Those who believe and do not mix their faith with injustice, those will have security while they are guided. You see, so that answers the question the brother was asking, Faris, right? So Baba Seidu, yeah, thank you very much, Baba Seidu. I see you, Baba Seidu. Maroon Khalif, I see you. Peace, bro. I see Ibrahim Mohammed Salam. Balogun, I see you. Peace to you. Thank you all for coming. I think I have 5 minutes more to end the program. Hey, Bilal Jibril, I see you. Thank you for coming. Peace to you. Let me see. Stop sharing. So what I just discussed is about Islam, but when we say Islam, it's just an Arabic word. People have modernized it, Romanized it to seem like if you are speaking English and you say Islam, it's a new religion. It's not. It has been theirs with the prophets. They all submit to God. And like I said, James chapter 4, verse 7, I can put it on the screen, right? I take you to the Bible. Let's go to the Bible. We go to James. I take you to Bible. Let's go to biblehub.com. Okay. So I take you to James 4:7. Yeah. So then I can maximize the screen. And I share the screen for you to see the verse, right? Here. Now this is I just opened the Bible on biblehub.com, right? Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can close this. Maybe it's disturbing, right? Yeah, it's okay. This is James chapter 4, verse 7. So when I scroll down, these are the different versions of translations, right? Now, when you check the translation, it says, New International Version, submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Then New Living Translation says, so humble yourselves before God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. English Standard Version, submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Now, when you take the Greek version, right, and you check the real meaning, it is actually to submit. So submitting yourself to God makes you a submitter, which makes you part of submission. And when we put these words into Arabic, you are a Muslim who has actually Aslim, and you are part of Islam. This is how it works. So it is not a new concept. It is not something new where people will say, oh, Islam only started in the 7th century. We have no idea about it. You have been reading books which are lying to you. Remember, a lot of books you read are people's perspectives, people's opinions. Remember that. When you buy a book written by somebody, it is that person's point of view he's writing. You can choose to agree or disagree. But anytime you want to agree or disagree, make sure you have a factual evidence to disprove that claim. Remember, Quran chapter 4, verse 174, right? I'm quoting this verse before I come to an end. Quran chapter 4, verse 174. That is Surah Al-Nisa. And I'm going to put this verse on the screen for you to see the verse, right? And what God says. So let me share the screen. Here. God says, oh, you mankind. Now, remember, the Quran is a guidance for all people. It's a mankind. Don't think you are, because you are not an Arab, so you have to stay away from the Quran. You are fooling yourself if you do that. Please, listen to me carefully. You are a Caucasian, you are an African, you are a Hindu, you are Chinese, you are American, Black American, Blue American, Green American, you are from Togo, you are from Japan. Don't let anybody tell you cannot go next to the Quran. God is talking to you there, right? Okay. O you mankind, a proof has come to you from your Lord, and we have revealed to you a clear light. It's talking to mankind. You are listening to me right now. I'm speaking from the book of God, right? O you mankind, a proof, when we say burhan in Arabic, is different from saying bayina. There's a slight difference here. Burhan is more stronger. That is proof. When we say bayina, it's more like an evidence. But here we are talking about a proof. God says when you are arguing with somebody and he's claiming you are wrong or right, just say hatu bur'anaka or hatu bur'anakum. Just bring your proof to seal the argument. So, O you mankind, a proof has come to you from your Lord, and we have revealed to you a clear light. So you have a book which brings you what? Light. That is the proof. So when we are talking about having the truth, we are not talking about people's opinion. To come and tell me, oh, some scholar in the 16th century says this. We don't care who he is. God never said we shall obey him. We don't know who he is, right? We are talking about God. Is it God saying that? If God says it, we agree. So similarly, I give you this Bible verse, right? Let me take you to Mark. I take you to Mark chapter 12, and let's check 29, right? 29 to, let's say, 31. Now, let me see. I want you to see this verse on this screen. I'm going to put this verse. I'm coming to an end soon. It's 2 hours now. So this is my last verse before I bring the topic at an end. Look at the screen here. This is the Bible. I just entered into the Bible, right? That is Mark chapter 12, verse 29. And I'm going to read to, let's say, 31. Or let's say to 30. Now, me, babashuaib, when I take the Bible and I'm studying the Bible, I do study the Bible. For people who don't know me, I study the Bible, I study the Quran, right? And there's a way I study. I don't deal with people's opinion when I'm studying scriptures. I take people's opinion aside and I deal with what Jesus is saying or what God is saying, because Jesus is a prophet of God, right? Moses is a prophet of God. If I find their words, I check and then I go back to the Quran to confirm. This is where I scrutinize scriptures. So now when you come to the Mark chapter 12, verse 29, this is the words of Jesus. And these words can be confirmed in the Quran. If you go and read chapter 19, start reading from verse 30 downwards, you can confirm these same words I'm giving you. So here, Jesus answered, "The foremost is here, O Israel." He was talking to the Israel because he was not sent but to the lost sheep of Israel. Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. This was the group Jesus was sent to, right? So Jesus answered, "The foremost is here, O Israel. The Lord our God is one Lord. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength." So meaning there's no room for any other entity you have to love. But we are talking about the aspect of faith. So here Jesus is now saying, listen carefully. Jesus answered, "The foremost is," that is not the number one criteria for your faith, is here, O Israel, the people he was sent to. "The Lord, our God, is one Lord." This is Jesus speaking. I don't care what Paul has to say. I don't care what your scholar has to say. I don't care what your monk, your priest, your imam, anybody has to say. We are dealing with the words of Jesus. Now, these words, can it be confirmed in the Quran? Yes, it can be confirmed. It's in the Quran as well. The same thing. Jesus said it. So the foremost is here. The Lord our God is one Lord. And you, Israel, shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, meaning no half of your heart, no 1/4 or 1/3 or something. All your heart. Listen carefully. And with all your soul, you have a soul, not half of your soul, all your soul. And with all your mind. You have a mind, pay attention to what Jesus is telling you, not what your scholar is telling you. And with all your strength, you have a strength, don't give it to any scholar. Don't give it to any imam or pastor or sheikh or something. Give it to God. I'm not saying it. Jesus is saying it. And it's confirmed in the Quran, right? This is how I study scriptures, right? So if you come to me with a scripture and you are going to quote somebody's opinion, I just look at you. I'm like, are you okay? So this is why I'm called a correctional officer. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where I bring this topic to an end. Thank you to jcradio. I appreciate the platform. And God willing, we shall make this consecutive where I'll be coming every Saturday if I have the time, God willing. But I'll make it a point where I'll share. But as usual, I'll be doing my program on Wednesdays, right? I'll be coming on Wednesday to do my own program on my page. So for those who are here today, I appreciate your presence and being part of this, beautiful program. And sorry for the delay, because in the beginning, In order for me to be a host, this is my first time of actually handling a studio to myself, right? And thanks to God, I've not been put to shame. I'm able to handle all the pressure. You know me already, babashuaib, the correctional officer, right? For those who know about my t-shirt, this is the t-shirt, babashuaib, the correctional officer. You can find it on my YouTube channel. The links are there. If you want to support, and let's go to God. It's just a support to God. I'm not saying come and make me the idol. No, please put God first, right? So I'm calling people to God, just like Jesus did in Quran chapter 61, verse 14. He told his disciples, who is going to be my supporters towards God? If you support babashuaib, you are supporting me because of the truth. You are not supporting me because I'm handsome or because I can know how to talk or something. No, you are supporting me because we are going to God. This idea of this t-shirt is to cause an unbalance to the mushriks. Whenever they see this logo, they are agitated, they are confused, they are messed up in the head. So please help me. Let's get them confused so that when they see this movement, they will know that we are ready to be the soldiers of God against the lies, right? So this is babashuaib, the correctional officer. Thank you, jcradio, jctv online. I appreciate this honor and platform, and I appreciate your presence, the audience, with all diligence. I appreciate your support as well. We keep moving forward. Mohammed, thank you for your support. I appreciate that. I saw your message late, but then you did your best. Yes, I appreciate that as well. Thank you, Salis Jimmy. I see you, Salis Jimmy, Baba Sedu, Bilal Waya. I see you, Fatima Chin, Balogun Olayinka. I see you. Yes. Yes. Baba Mando, I see you. Yes. Thank you, Faris King, Tariq Ayub. Thank you all for being present. I appreciate Brad Sedus. I see you as well. I appreciate your support. It keeps me moving. It keeps me motivated. Let's get ready for another week ahead and then enjoy what is coming, God willing. I thank you all for this honor and privilege. This is where I bring the topic to an end until we meet again, probably next week, inshallah. So this is where I bring the topic to an end. See you once again. Peace and love. I'm out.